We begin with Senator Bond. Senator Kit Bond joins us from Capitol Hill. Senator Bond, what is your thinking when you heard that Barack Obama is going to close Gitmo?
Well, I think it's irresponsible to say you're going to close Gitmo without having a plan. What are you going to do with the hardened terrorists that are there? I can't think of any town or city in Missouri who wants to have hardened criminals, illegal combatants like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed or Abu Zubaydah coming into their community. Now, if you don't bring them back to the United States, if you release them, we know already that more than 60 of the people who have been released have been killing our troops, our Americans and civilians on the battlefield. If you really want to bring them back to the United States, people in Missouri and Kansas believe Gitmo is just fine. Folks in San Francisco want it closed. I'd suggest you put them in Alcatraz.
Well, why wouldn't you imprison somebody after holding a trial or execute them? Why don't we do it by law? What's the problem with doing it the usual way?
Well, first of all, they should have military commissions to determine whether they should be incarcerated. When in the past have we ever said that an illegal combatant outside the United States has access to our court systems? We have we have a moral obligation to give them some kind of hearing to make sure that we have evidence to show that they deserve to be incarcerated. In the past, whenever you have captured enemy soldiers on the battlefield, you've kept them in camps until the war is over. And I simply suggest that these people have plotted against and killed American citizens, and we do not need to bring them back into our country and give them the full rights, put them in prisons where, if they escape, they will be able to conduct their terrorist activities from American soil.
Well, we've got Sirhan in jail. We've got some pretty bad murderers in this country who are in federal prison. Are you saying we can't hold people who are guilty of crimes in our prisons? We're not competent to do that?
If you have several hundred people that you would be bringing back that would flood the system. Sure, we have a murderer here, a murderer there. We have people who were engaged in a massive effort, Al-Qaeda and perhaps others, who have worked to provide terrorist training and direction, command and control. We don't want them operating out of a U.S. prison or going after recruits in our prison system in America for people who may be released there.
Well, you paint a sad picture, because I know we have, what, 10 to 20,000 murders in this country every year. We put people in prison all the time for first-degree murder. We execute them, and you make it sound like we don't have the competence to keep those people from causing trouble here. Let me ask you about this question of torture. Barack Obama said today, no more torture. Are you with that?
I agree with that. I've introduced a bill that not only says no more torture, it outlines the things, including waterboarding, that we would ban permanently by law. I agree with that.
Well, what about this Khalid Sheikh Mohammed? People like Dick Cheney are quite happy with the fact that he was submitted to waterboarding. Are you with him?
I believe that that the techniques that were used to get information from Khalid Sheikh Mohammed were approved at the time. I think the time has come to say no more waterboarding. But depends on, there are many things that we do to our volunteer Marines and pilots who go through Siri school that are very much like waterboarding. I'm not even going to talk about that. But if you say, as the executive order does, that you will only use the Army Field Manual, there is a real problem with that. The Army Field Manual works well for the 10,000, 20,000 soldiers who may be questioning battlefield combatants. But for the CIA, when you capture a high-value target, every single one of them knows precisely what the Army Field Manual prescribes, and they won't talk. They know how to resist it. There are other techniques that have been approved in the past that have proven effective, primarily because the terrorists don't know what is going to happen to them. Now, the good news is that this is an executive order, and a president can issue another executive order that applies to the CIA and define what techniques could be used. That should be kept classified and not disclosed to anybody. You can use techniques as President Bush used that were approved by the president by executive order. So President Obama has that option, and if we capture another high-value detainee, if it's necessary, I hope that they will use the other techniques that have been described to us that are like but different from those in the Army Field Manual.
What about investigating previous use of torture and possibly punishing in that under this new administration? Are you against that? Going back and seeing if somebody at a high level approved torture and whether they should be punished for that?
I think if you go back and try to prosecute people who operated under opinions issued by the Attorney General and directed by the President, you will absolutely destroy the morale in the CIA. Nobody will want to work under a system in which you can follow lawful orders issued by the President, approved by the Attorney General. If you do that, I will tell you further that you will start a political battle at the highest level. President Obama said he doesn't want to look backward. There are some people very loudly on Capitol Hill said they want to prosecute everybody. Well, we don't go back and prosecute Bill Clinton for the really warrantless search of Aldrich Ames or other things that have gone on. We don't go back and look at previous administrations and try them for crimes. That is the ultimate in the Bush derangement syndrome, which I believe any person who thinks through it will recognize that it would be a total disaster.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator Gitmo of Missouri.